Okay.
Woo! Let's rock and roll, man!
So, first video that I've done in a while. I'm not gonna get into where I've been, especially with the face cam and stuff, and that's not important. Um, as you guys who've watched me, especially my YouTube short on the Star Wars theory video that he made of the Luke Skywalker interview that he reacted to, and how he was talking about the Ryan Johnson movie that he made, The Last Jedi and stuff. And I said my piece. I said what I thought about it. I said how I feel about it and what we needed to do. This video that I'm making now is going to be called The Culture War Needs to Die Off, because it really does. I honestly think that this culture war that we're in just needs to fucking be eviscerated off the planet. And everybody who's a nerd or who's in the nerd space, whether you've been in there for years or just getting into it, everybody just needs to be in their own space doing whatever the fuck they need to do and stuff. Cause it's tiresome. I'm sick and tired of the constant complaining of everything's woke, everything is not the same. I can't understand why we can't go back to the way things were and stuff. Well, yes, I do agree with that. But my problem is with that is that everybody likes to bring up the problems. Nobody likes to bring up the solutions. So I have some notes on my Google Docs explaining how this shit fucking happened. So the culture war started, I want to say 2015, 2016-ish. That's when it really fucking started. Especially first Trump era. Doesn't matter how you feel about Trump, especially back then. He was the president. It is what it is. Somehow, some way, people started coming into, I would say, the nerd space, pushing their ideals on nerd culture and stuff, and in a progressive way, having characters who've been loved, years and years upon on them being made, saying crazy things that people believe they wouldn't say. I also believe that as well. Whether that be minority struggles and shit, LGBT plus, messages, you name it, the whole 9 yards. And it just came out of nowhere, and nobody understood why this was happening. Comic book YouTubers, from what I done my research, who did comic book reviews, talked about this, why it's happening, this and that, and from that point on, from 2016, from 2017, lack of communication between the companies and the fan base, the actual fan base, like I said, who's been there for years. There was no clarity on why this was a thing. And unfortunately, in my opinion, people on the left side of the nerd space just took it because they felt like their their voice wasn't heard for some reason. They just felt like they were not being heard. We have a voice too, etc., etc. So, and then the blaming of, unfortunately, I won't even say unfortunately, it's just natural fucking, the blaming of straight white men who are in this space complaining about this. And mind you, these are like men who've read comics for years, for decades. Like, these dudes are grandpas, uncles. So it is what it is. They saw what was going on. They didn't like it. And then the left side was just crying like they're, racist, Nazis, instaphobes, you name it, the whole 9 yards. So that's, how this all started, and unfortunately it got into the mainstream, it got to the, what was out there and shit. I'm looking at my notes, by the way, so it's, it's a lot of, looking at my screen. So I'm looking at my, computer screen right now, because I'm going down the line of my, my list and stuff, which is crazy, because the voices of the, I want to say the woke ideology, or the progressive ideology, it was kind of a small group, yet they had the loudest fucking voice, so it was just spewed out there. And I guess the companies thought they were the vocal majority, which, they weren't. And this has caused the rift in many ways. I would say the rift happened between, nerds, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right. The rift really fucking happened, and, I'm, in my opinion, and, people watch this, they can correct me on this. I'm willing to learn and stuff. I'm willing to engage in conversations. But the thing that really hit home for a lot of people, including myself, was The Last Jedi. That shit was trash. You know it. He knows it. We all fucking know it. I was one of the people that was like, yo, why would they do this? Especially to Luke Skywalker. And, I've heard about, Luke's adventures, especially after Return of the Jedi and stuff. I didn't really get into what he did that much, because, I was just watching the movies and, bits and pieces on Star Wars: The Clone Wars, or TCW and stuff. I didn't know that what Dave Filoni was doing, and I'm gonna let you know right now, I'm calling Dave Filoni baloney, because what I've discovered and what I found out about actual Star Wars, the stuff that he was making in TCW isn't even canon. That shit isn't even, it's his made up shit. Post Return of the Jedi to post Revenge of the Sith, and I'm talking about in the years that they were made. All that stuff from there was canon. All that stuff was canon, aka the EU, the extended universe. So that shit was just, it wasn't real. Like, the stuff he was making plus what Disney was making wasn't real Star Wars, and I didn't even know that at the time. I knew that, you know, the EU characters. I didn't know that they were, you know, they weren't canon. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, where is this character? Why haven't we seen anything about that? You know, our Tyrannus, Crate, all these characters. And when I found out that there's the EU and then there's the Disney shit that they have now, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on now. Like, who's telling the lie? And then when I found out that, you know, LucasArts was fucking gone, I'm sitting there like, oh shit, like, we're really not getting a fucking Star Wars fucking Battlefront, Battlefront 3, The Force Unleashed, I was about to say Force Awakens, The Force Unleashed 3, and we weren't getting 1313. And it's crazy because that came all, like, 1313 was announced before The Force Awakens. All that stuff was like, between that and, you know, the EU not being canon, LucasArts fucking up people, you know, comparing, Lucasfilm, not LucasArts. You know, Lucas film fucking everything up. People, you know, saying The Force Awakens sucked. Force Awakens was just New Hope, which it kind of was, let's be honest. And then The Last Jedi. I mean, that was like that was just it. Over. Forget about it. Because Star Wars is the biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sci-fi pop culture medium out there. You cannot debate. There's no debate. George Lucas, peak human. Peak. I'm talking, the stuff that he had in his mind is bananas. Great guy. Not only that, but as well as the people who made the books, comic books, video games. Back then, from 1980, the late 1980s to early 90s to fucking 2010. That's when Star Wars was at its peakest. So that was like the divide of this culture war, because people were fed up. I'm one of them too. I'm still fed up about that shit. So the divide happened. People were fucking throwing fists at each other, going back and forth, yada yada yada. It was to the point where I would say the anti-woke side, which a lot of them, let's face it, a lot of them are, you know, right-wingers. And that's fine. Nobody's fucking complaining. Nobody cares whether you're a right-winger or not. Nobody gives a shit. But to me, it just seems like when they had their voice heard and stuff, they would low blow you. Like, them motherfuckers would low blow you. Crazy remarks. Say some racist shit. And then it was just there because they didn't give a fuck. It was a constant wave of just negativity that was coming towards them. And yeah, a lot of them were white. And that's fucking fine. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares. Nobody gave a fuck if they were white. but because of the progressiveness that happened, and the legalization of gay marriage, that was just the floodgates. You're really not gonna get my politics on this stuff, so I really don't give a fuck whether you're left or right, and you say what type of person I am. I don't give a fuck. Don't care. Because I'm here about the nerd shit. I'm here for the actual nerd shit. I'm not here for talking about Trump. I'm not here talking about fucking immigrants. I don't give a fuck about that shit. I want to talk about fucking shit that I like. But anyways, so yeah, it was just a fucking divide, and for some reason you just had this wave of just right-wingers and anti-YouTubers calling people Marxist, socialist, communist, whatever you fucking name it. So it was just bad, and it still is bad. It's fucking crazy. To the point where, like, I remember when people were saying, including me, like, bro, I don't care if a character is gay, black, Asian, purple, fucking four-legged creature. The character had to be good, which I still do believe. Like, the character has to be good. If you're gonna make a character who's a minority or a gay person, write them as such as them just being that without the stereotypes. Sorry, I was just looking at my mom's coming in. Anyways, just do that. Don't have it to where you still have the shitty messaging. Because you can have a message. You can have a message of, progressiveness. The message is, whether it's good or bad, the execution, it has to land, or it's just gonna be shit. Yeah, from that, we don't care whether the character is gay or minorities. We just want a good character, to the point where now it's like we don't want that shit at all. We do not want gay, minority characters at all. If the character ain't white, it ain't right. Let's face it. Let's be real. Let's be honest. People who have the voice now, which is the right, their ideology, if the character ain't white, it ain't right. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. And I don't, in some cases, I don't fucking blame them. I don't fucking blame them. Like, listen, my favorite superhero is Spider-Man, Peter Parker, hands down. Even though I got a Black Panther shirt on. Spider-Man is my guy. Always has been, always will be, till the day I die. I've been flippy-floppy with Miles Morales and stuff. I think he's cool. I think his powers are okay, even though they glaze Miles Morales way too hard. I think it's time for Peter to get new powers. I'll make a video on that. It's not really important, but he was a white guy. The characters I grew up with, especially in the 2000s, they were all white. Nobody gave a fuck. I didn't care about their skin color. I love these characters. I love all the characters, whether they were black, white, women. Didn't fucking matter to me. But you weren't Spider-Man, of course. Listen, sorry, Spider-Man is that guy. Spider-Man, greatest superhero ever. You cannot top that suit. You can't fucking top the suit. Point blank, period. But yeah, They were all white. The big three of Marvel was Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wolverine. All white guys. Nobody cared. But until, what I said happened, now it's to the point where if you ain't white, you're not right. Get in the back of the fucking line, dog. You black? Get back to work, nigga. Master Chief is looking at fucking Sergeant Johnson. Get back in the line, boy. But yeah, it's there and it's starting to get there. I honestly think it's already here and stuff. And now we get to where we're at now, and we're in the stagnation era. You either say things are woke. If you like this, you're a shill. It doesn't matter if you like little aspects of it. If you say something online, you say you like it, you're a shill, you're a puppet, even though you bashed it before. You're a shill. Or, the left fucking... The left side was saying fucking, Instaphobe, Nazi, you fucking name it, the words that are just don't mean shit. Now, the right, now is saying, what I said, shill. If you like this, you're a communist, Marxist, socialist. You're just all that. So, the terms woke it really doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, it really doesn't. It's starting to die out, and I really hope it does die out, because it's not the fact of the product being woke for me. It's about whether the person who complains about the shit being woke, of what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Okay, it's woke. Whatever. Find something else that you like and move the fuck on. That is the best thing you can fucking do. I ain't gotta worry about Joe Schmo and what the fuck they're doing. I can just keep liking the stuff that I like. And that's the old shit. Yeah, they're using this stuff now because it's the brands of different shits are it's a conglomerate. But I like the old shit, and I'm staying there. I remember I want to say summer of 2023. Yeah, I think it was summer 2023. I was laid off, and I was in a depressed state. I was fucking angry, depressed. I wasn't having enough money in my pocket, and I couldn't provide, so I remember me and my brothers watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've always had the Lord of the Rings trilogy in my life because my mom watched it. My mom put me on a lot of shit as a kid, but I really didn't care about it. You know, I have ADHD, so I was just, you know, looking the other way. I would stare at Lord of the Rings and then move the other way. So it was just, it is what it is. But when we watched the trilogy, you know, like I knew about Lord of the Rings. I knew about, you know, the lore and stuff, you know. But when I watched it, it was just like, whoa, like, yo, this is, like, I'm feeling something. Like, Tolkien really fucking paved the way of fantasy and stuff. You really did. And I remember at the end where Frodo was leaving with the elves, you know, that song of the Shire came on, and, you know, Sam, Merry Pippin, you know, they hugged Frodo, and before Frodo and Bilbo were leaving. And I remember, like, me and my brothers, we got up and we hugged each other. Like, it was those stories is what I grasp at, you know. I love stories that have meaning. And this is where I'm gonna get at now. You know, my last, you know, part. Yeah, my last part. You know, the culture war on both sides, you know, it made the hobby not fucking fun. I mean, if you're off the internet, listen, you're good, you're golden, you're happy, you're fucking giddy as can be. But unfortunately, because of the digital age, it's in your face, you know. Ever since, you know, Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, and the Critical Janker came out, you've seen clones of them, and it's just constant. Everything's woke, everything's da-da-da-da-da. It's drilled in your fucking head. And we know this. Everybody knows everything's fucking woke. You like to bring up the problems. You never want to bring up the solutions. And my thing is the solutions. My idea of the solutions is stop complaining about what's going on now and just reminisce on the old and the good times that you had. Fucking, if it's nostalgia bait, I don't give a fuck. Stay there. Stay fucking there. Stay there. And then maybe down the line you'll make something fucking new. You'll make something new out of it. Also, most of these people who talk about this shit aren't fucking creative. Like, making videos, anybody can make a video. I'm doing that shit right now. But now, everybody isn't creating things that have a message, that have something that's in the soul, that's it's coming from here, it's coming from your heart. Everything's either AI slop, gooner shit, and it's bad. It's horrible. Like the internet really dumbed down a lot of people. It's a shame. It really is. It really is. Like, listen, I love a hot chick. You know, those who know the Timon and Asagi, listen. That's baby girl, listen. Yo, I'm down the wrong path. But yeah, it's just, if you're on the right, you either gotta, you know, have a hot chick. You have to talk about having a hot chick in your game, and if the character is white, and it's just, yes, some of the aspects may be true, but that's not all of it. At the end of the day, it's what's the messaging. What do you feel in your heart as a creator? What do you have to say? It's plain and simple. So, like I said, you know, the grift tubers and all these people who talk about whether shit is woke, they're not creating shit. No, I'm trying to create stuff. You know, I'm trying to create my stories, my world, and, you know, my, you know, universe of characters and stuff. And I'm just doing that like other people, you know, days of old. So that's where we have to go back right now. And we have to keep pushing it. We have to keep pushing, you know, these people out. You know, everybody's like, you know, Tolkien was great, George Lucas is great, Michael Moorcock, Legends, oh my god, Robert E. Howard, who did Conan the Barbarian. You know, these people are great. You don't have that. Yeah, of course, we'll never have those scared people. But because we like it, because we like those things, we can make things that are in that realm. Yet nobody's pushing it out. Like, I remember when Razorfist, shout out to him, that's my guy. I don't know him, but you know. But I remember when he dropped the Iron Age video. You know, I was hype about it. You know, I was like, yeah, let's fucking go. Let's fucking do this shit. Let's fucking. This needs to be pushed, and then nobody. After that, not a word. Besides fucking you know, Eric July's comic and his comic book brand. Nobody else. Nobody gives a fuck about it. Nobody really gives a fuck about that shit. Nobody gives a fuck about the creator's project, and that's fucking sad. That's fucking sad. The culture war has ruined the chances of these YouTubers and grift tubers to spread their wings. They have to be stuck in this cage of whether things are woke or not. And that's terrible. That is fucking terrible. And quite frankly, I don't want to fucking live that life. Like my YouTube channel, you know, it's not going to be a thing where I'm talking about this shit every single day and I'm pushing it out. Fuck no. I'm just going to talk about the things that I like. And I don't need to get fucking views off this shit. No, I don't. I don't fucking need this shit. Because it's soulless shit. Like, yeah, these people who have millions of views, yeah, they're real people, but at the end of the day, like my nigga Soul Illuminati says, they're bots. That's stuff. That's stuff. It is. Like, you have nothing, like, these people have nothing to say. You may, you know, give critiques and shit, but at the end of the day, you have nothing to say. And people who do like the mainstream shit, you know, they're fucking, you know, they talk about what they like. And if you do, especially online, like, you're called a shell, you're, like I said, you're called a shell. Oh, you're a fucking puppet, da-da-da-da-da. It's just, you know. So it's just, everything that is in this nerd culture war really needs to change. And I'm gonna say it, like, these main channels, Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, like, as I said, y'all like to talk about the problems but never bring up the solutions. Where are your channels of talking about this stuff? Where are your channels of talking about the movies that you actually fucking like? Where are they? They're not. They're not there. I don't hear you saying, I don't hear people bringing up the fucking Silmarillions. I don't hear people talking about fucking Elric or Melniboné. I don't hear people talking about fucking, you know, Warhammer, the old editions and shit, you know, instead of what's going on now, if you think, you know, Warhammer is just woke, and, you know, like I said, it's soulless. Everybody's soulless. So, which is crazy, because I remember watching a video, this was like years ago, I remember watching a video of like, when, that was a Warcraft 3? When Warcraft 3 came out, and people were playing online, people modded the game and called it Dota. And most of those people who modded the game, correct me if I'm wrong, they worked on fucking League of Legends. So in that aspect, like, people can do that. Like, people been doing that shit since that fucking game came out. And so I'm like, yo, like, why can't people complain about this shit who are fans of this shit? Why can't y'all do what the people who did, you know, who made the mods of, you know, Warcraft 3 into fucking Dota, which then became League of Legends, why can't y'all do that with the hobbies you like? You know, I don't see people talking about, you know, especially, you know, Warhammer, except for Gamza. I don't see people, you know, talking about 3D printing, models and stuff. Hell, get your, old codex. Get your old books, get your old stuff that felt special to you. Take pictures, put it online, and spread it out. Have people make, new models of the old shit. It's literally like a retro remix. Let's fucking make a retro remix. And that's it. That's all you gotta fucking do. So yeah, no, that's my shit. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm not doing that fucking like, share, subscribe. If y'all want to do that, y'all can do that. If not, it is what it is. Peace, motherfuckers.